Welcome back, everyone. We're diving back into mastering prompt engineering. And, in our last few deep dives, we've covered a lot of ground, like from the basics, crafting prompts, understanding different AI models, all that good stuff. But now it's time to really level up.
That's right.
And that's where this idea of evaluating and refining your prompts comes in. So I think the secret sauce.
Yeah.
It's like taking those good AI outputs and turning them to truly amazing ones.
Exactly. Yeah. It's kind of like, you've learned the basics of driving.
Right.
But now you're ready to fine tune your skills and become a pro racer. That's what we're doing.
I like that.
Evaluating and refining prompts is all about getting the most out of your AI, no matter what you're using it for.
Okay. So we're all about leveling up our prompt engineering game here.
Yeah.
But before we jump into all the how-tos, let's take a step back for a sec. Why is evaluating these prompts so important in the first place? I mean, isn't it enough if the AI gives us something that's kind of, in the ballpark of what we're looking for?
Well, I mean, sure, if you're just playing around with AI for fun, close enough might work. But if you really think about it, you wouldn't just hand someone a paintbrush and canvas and expect a masterpiece to come out, right?
Right.
Same goes for AI. If you want to create really remarkable outputs, whether it's a stunning piece of writing, a compelling marketing campaign, or even insightful data analysis, you need to give the AI, the right instructions.
I like that analogy a lot. So it's really about being intentional and precise with how we're communicating to that AI.
Exactly. Evaluating your prompts is like having a conversation with the AI.
Okay.
You're giving it feedback, making adjustments, guiding it towards the best possible outcome.
So how do we actually evaluate these prompts? What should we be looking for to know if a prompt needs a little bit of a tune-up?
There are three key indicators that can tell you if your prompt needs some work: relevance, clarity, and completeness.
Okay, let's break those down a bit. Relevance seems pretty straightforward. We want the AI to actually answer the question we're asking it.
Right.
Not go off on some tangent.
Right. If you ask for a summary of a scientific article and the AI gives you a fictional story about a scientist, that's a clear sign that your prompt missed the mark on relevance.
Yeah.
Asking for directions to the library and ending up at the grocery store.
Exactly.
Not helpful.
Got it. What about clarity? What actually makes a prompt clear?
Clarity is all about making sure that your instructions are easy for the AI to understand. Imagine you're asking someone to bake a cake.
Okay.
But you only give them vague instructions, make it sweet and use some flour.
Right.
They'd probably end up with something pretty far from what you had in mind.
Yeah.
The same goes for AI. A clear prompt provides those specific details and context so the AI knows exactly what you're looking for.
That makes sense. So no more vague instructions.
Right.
For our AI chefs, we need to be precise with our requests. Okay, what about completeness? What should we look for there?
Completeness is all about making sure that the AI fulfills the entire task.
Okay.
Not just part of it. It's like ordering a pizza with all the toppings, but only getting, a plain cheese pizza delivered.
Right.
If you ask the AI to analyze a data set and it only gives you a few basic statistics instead of that comprehensive report you were hoping for, you'll need to refine that prompt to make sure it covers everything you need.
These three indicators, relevance, clarity, and completeness, they make a lot of sense. I'm already starting to think about some of the prompts I've used in the past and realizing where I might have, fallen short. But knowing what to look for is only half the battle. Right. How do we actually go about refining a prompt that isn't quite hitting the mark?
That's where we get into those strategies for refining prompts, which we'll dive into after a short break.
All right, so we've identified that a prompt needs refining.
Right.
Because it's maybe lacking in relevance, clarity, or completeness. Where do we go from here? How do we give those prompts a much-needed tune-up?
There are three powerful strategies you can use to refine your prompts: adding context, breaking down those complex tasks, and specifying the output format.
I love the idea of having a toolbox full of strategies.
Exactly.
So let's start with adding context. What does that look like,
Yeah.
If I'm actually doing this?
So imagine you're asking the AI to, write a poem about love.
Okay.
A simple prompt write a poem about love might give you some pretty generic results.
Right.
But what kind of love are we talking about? Romantic love? The love between a parent and child? The love for a pet? By adding context, write a poem about the unconditional love between a dog and its owner, you give the AI a much clearer direction and a richer source of inspiration.
That's a great example. So it's we're giving the AI a more detailed map instead of just saying, hey, go to this general area.
Exactly, yeah. The more context you provide, the better equipped the AI is to understand your intent and deliver a more tailored and relevant response.
Okay. Adding context, definitely going into my prompt refinement checklist. What about breaking down complex tasks? When would I use that strategy?
Think of it this way. If you were teaching someone a new skill, cooking a complicated dish, you wouldn't just throw all the ingredients and instructions at them at once, right? You'd break it down into smaller, more manageable steps. Same principle applies to AI.
So instead of asking AI to plan a month-long trip to Europe, I should break it down into find flights, research destinations, book accommodations, and, kind of go step by step.
Precisely. By breaking down the task, you make it easier for the AI to process each step, avoid getting overwhelmed, and ultimately deliver a more comprehensive and accurate result.
So it's we're giving the AI a clear roadmap.
Yeah.
instead of expecting it to navigate a maze blindfolded. All right, what about specifying output format? What's the benefit of doing that?
Specifying the output format is all about making that AI's response as usable as possible. Like imagine you ask the AI to analyze some sales data. You could just get a big wall of text back, which might be hard to digest. But if you specify something like, present the findings in a table with columns for product, sales volume, and revenue, you'll get a much more organized and actionable output.
That's so helpful. It's like having the AI do the formatting work for me so I can get right to those insights. So we've got these 3 strategies: adding context, breaking down complex tasks, and specifying output format. Do we use all of them every time, or how do we decide which one to apply?
It really depends on the specific prompt and the challenges you're encountering. It's like, having different tools in your toolkit. You wouldn't use a hammer to tighten a screw, right?
Right.
The key is to analyze your prompt and the AI's response, and then choose the strategy or combination of strategies that will best address that issue.
Starting to feel like a real prompt engineer here.
There you go.
Analyzing the situation, choosing the right tool, and crafting those killer prompts.
Yeah.
But it sounds like this whole process of refining these prompts is pretty iterative.
Yeah.
We make a change, we see how the AI responds, and then we make further adjustments, right?
You got it. It's not a one-and-done type of situation. It's about having that conversation with the AI, guiding it towards the desired outcome through feedback and refinement. Think of it like sculpting a piece of art. You start with a general shape, and then you chisel away, add details, and refine it until you achieve your vision.
I like that analogy. So it's a creative process. There's no magic formula to get it perfect on the first try.
Exactly. And, here's a pro tip. Don't be afraid to experiment. Sometimes the most unexpected tweaks can lead to the most remarkable results.
This is making a lot of sense. But before we move on, I'd love to hear a real-world example of how this iterative process of refining a prompt actually works, in practice.
Absolutely. Let's say you're working on, a chatbot for customer service. Your initial prompt might be something like, write a response to a customer who is complaining about a delayed delivery.
Okay, and I can already see how that prompt might need some refinements. It's a bit too generic, right?
Right. The AI might give you a response that's technically correct, but lacks empathy or personality. So you refine your prompt by adding context and specifying the tone. You might say, write a friendly and apologetic response to a customer who is frustrated because their order is delayed. Reassure them that you're looking into the issue and provide them with an estimated delivery date.
That's much better. Now we're getting somewhere.
Right. So you check the AI's response again, and this time the tone is much better, but it's missing a key piece of information, an apology discount.
So we refine it again.
Exactly.
We add something like, offer a 10% discount on their next order as an apology for the inconvenience.
You're catching on.
Okay.
And with each iteration, you're guiding the AI closer to that perfect response.
I love how this process of refining these prompts is like a dance.
It is.
Between us and the AI. We're constantly learning from each other and making adjustments to create something amazing.
Exactly. And here's something else to consider. Sometimes we need to go beyond just manual refinement and explore tools and techniques that can help us evaluate and refine prompts even more efficiently.
I'm all ears. What kind of tools and techniques are we talking about here?
Well, there are things like A/B testing, where you compare 2 slightly different versions of a prompt to see which one performs better.
Okay.
Or you can leverage user feedback to see how your prompts are resonating with your target audience. And then there are prompt templates. These are pre-made outlines that you can customize to save you time and effort.
These sound like some serious power-ups for our prompt engineering arsenal.
Yeah.
I'm already envisioning myself running A/B tests like a mad scientist, gathering feedback like a seasoned researcher, and creating templates like a master craftsman.
Yeah.
But I'm also wondering, are there any common challenges or mistakes that people tend to make?
Of course.
When they're evaluating and refining these prompts, things that we should all be aware of and try to avoid.
That's a great question, and one we'll tackle right after this short break.
So we were just talking about some pretty powerful tools and techniques for evaluating and refining these prompts. But as with any skill, there are bound to be some common pitfalls that we might fall into. What are some things that we should be watching out for?
One of the most common mistakes is overloading the prompt with just too much information.
I've definitely been guilty of that one. I think if I give the AI every single little detail, it's going to have a better chance of giving me exactly what I want.
Right, and that's a common misconception. You might think you're being helpful, but too much information can really overwhelm the AI and lead to a less focused, less coherent response.
So it's kind of like trying to stuff a suitcase that's already bursting at the seams.
Exactly. You need to find that sweet spot between being really specific and concise, give the AI enough info to understand your request, but don't bury it in a mountain of, unnecessary details.
Okay, I'll try to be more mindful of that. What other challenges should we be aware of?
Another common pitfall is misinterpreting AI's limitations. AI is a powerful tool, but it's still a tool. It doesn't think like a human, and it doesn't have the same understanding of the world that we do.
So I shouldn't expect it to be give me life advice or write my next best-selling novel.
Well, it might be able to generate some interesting ideas, but ultimately AI is best at processing information and completing tasks based on the instructions that we give it. It's not a replacement for human creativity, critical thinking, or emotional intelligence.
That's a good reminder to keep our expectations in check.
Okay.
Any other pitfalls we should be on the lookout for?
One more that I see often is iterating too quickly. It's tempting to just like make a bunch of changes to a prompt all at once
Right.
after you get that first response. But sometimes it's better to take a step back, really analyze why the AI responded the way it did.
So patience is key.
Absolutely. Don't rush the process.
Yeah.
Take the time to understand the feedback that the AI is giving you, and then you can make those thoughtful adjustments. It's like editing a piece of writing, You don't want to make changes too hastily without considering the impact.
I'm starting to appreciate the nuance and the art involved in this whole prompt engineering thing.
It is.
It's not just about typing in a few words and hoping for the best. It's about understanding how AI works, crafting clear and effective instructions, and then refining those prompts to get the most out of this, amazing technology.
Well said. Prompt engineering is a skill, takes practice.
Yeah.
But the more you work at it, the more intuitive it becomes. And the rewards are worth the effort. When you can effectively communicate with AI, you unlock a world of possibilities.
This has been an incredibly insightful deep dive. I feel like I've gained a whole new level of understanding and confidence in my prompt engineering abilities. So to our listeners, thank you so much for joining us on this adventure. We encourage you to take what you've learned today and start applying it to your own work with AI.
Keep experimenting, keep refining, and most importantly, keep having fun with it.
That's a great note to end on. We'll see you all next week for our deep dive into automating and scaling prompt engineering. This is super useful when you're using AI for larger projects or even in your business. Until then, happy prompting.